Welcome to Blueprint IoT. Today we will talk about the R2R digital-to-analog converter. To get started, let's assume we have some sort of microcontroller with a couple of GPIO pins. On the bottom we have ground, and then we have GPIO 0 to GPIO 3. Moving on, we will have those GPIOs connected to a resistor. So those GPIOs represent our digital outputs. Those resistors will then be connected in a certain way. So on the bottom we will have another resistor that then gets connected to ground. So obviously through the ground pin, but also just to make it clear, let's have a separate ground here in the circuit. Moving on the top, we will basically always place a resistor in between those GPIOs or those resistors coming out of the GPIOs, and eventually we will end up at the output on the top right end of the circuit. But let's look at the values of those resistors. So it's quite simple. All the vertical resistors are of the same value. In our case, we just call it R. R could be anything, could be 1K, could be 10K, whatever you want, but they're all the same value. So that's our unit, 1R, whatever you want it to be. On the other hand, all the horizontal resistors will have the value 2R, so twice what the vertical ones are. So again, if R is 1K, this just means that the horizontal ones should have 2K. So that's a very important and basically the core part of the whole story about the R2R digital to analog converter, is that you have the vertical ones with the value R, let's say 1000 ohms, and the horizontal ones with the value 2R, let's say 2000 ohms. So that's also where the name comes from, R2R, 1R and 2 Rs. Another name that you might know is the ladder DAC, the ladder digital to analog converter, the R2R ladder digital to analog converter. So the name comes from, the circuit looks a little bit like a ladder, but that's just about a name. So a little bit of a hint here, but I guess anyway, if you need to know it, you would most likely Google it, look it up. So that's just a little hint of how the circuit is shaped. Looking at it from a digital technology or logic point of view, we would have bit 0 at the bottom matching GPIO 0 and bit 3 at the top matching GPIO 3. In this scenario, we would have a 4-bit digital to analog converter having the bit 0 on the right hand side and then going up to all the way to bit 4 or bit 3, which is actually the 4th bit that we are using as we start with bit 0. The most significant bit, the MSB, would be on the left hand side or in the circuit on the top. So GPIO 3 is the most significant bit, so the bit with the highest value, and the least significant bit is adequately on the bottom at GPIO 0. Quick rewind to the digital technology. If we would have all the bits on a high, all the bits at 1, so high signal, this would basically result in the value 1 for the bit 0, value 2 for bit 1, 4 for bit 2, and the value 8 for bit 3. So the most significant bit is an 8, and the least significant can be either 0 or 1, all adding up to the number 15. So that's the highest value that we have with a 4-bit digital setup here. Keep that in mind as we will come back to this later on again. But let's go back to all the bits set to low at 0. So the main question is now, how does this digital to analog converter works? It looks pretty simple, just a couple of resistors with either the same value or double the value. But how does it actually work? You might have noticed I colored those resistors now, that we can basically do a equivalent circuit diagram later on and match all the colors that we know what we are talking about. But first, let's do a scenario that we actually want to do. Assuming all those GPIOs are at low at the beginning, and then we will turn on GPIO 3 and have a high signal at GPIO 3. So the most significant bit is engaged. Let's assume our logic level is 5 volts, just to keep things more or less simple, but at the same time also a not completely unrealistic value and not completely unrealistic voltage level in the microcontroller world. Using Arduino, you might have 5 volts, Raspberry Pi would be 3.3, but that's a bit more complicated to work with, so let's keep it with the 5 volts for the moment. So as we have GPIO3 at a high signal and all the other GPIOs at a low signal, this basically means we have 1 0 0 0 in our digital value, basically equaling the value 8. But what it also means is that ground itself is also a low signal. So because we have the logic low of 5 volts and the logic low is ground itself, basically ground and GPIO 1, 2 and 0 are all on the same potential. They're all at ground, they're all at 0 volts. So this means we can now start drawing an equivalent circuit diagram with all of those connections here basically combined into one ground connection. So let's get started over here and build a simplified circuit, or just rearrange it a little bit that we have an equivalent but have it a bit more easy to then further calculate the values. So at the bottom, let's say we start with the two green 2R resistors, and they are in parallel as they are both connected to the junction, where we move to the orange one, and also on the other side both are connected to ground. Moving up, we have the orange one, which is the value 1R, and in parallel to all of that we have the brownish red one that is in parallel to all the other stuff, and the value is 2R again. So moving further up the ladder, we have the purple one, which is again 1R, and then parallel to all of this we have the blue one, which is 2R. Again, they are parallel as they are all connected to the same ground. Moving further up, we have the basically voltage divider between the yellow one, R, and the initial one on GPIO3 that is actually connected to the high, so connected to 5 volts, 2R, the black one. So this is basically the complete equivalent circuit diagram, adding here the output, which is exactly in between this top voltage divider. So the only thing left to do now is basically to calculate the voltage divider between the black resistor and everything below the output. So it's just about simplifying the circuit now, which is actually quite easy, as you will realize in a second, because we only have the value R and 2R, double of R. So let's get started with those green resistors down here in the bottom. We have both with the value 2R, as they are in parallel. The value will be cut in half as they are exactly the same. So this means we will end up with 1R. This in series with the orange one, 1R, will equal to 2R because we have two 1Rs in series. And magically we arrive at the very same situation again. Now we have again 2R parallel to 2R, as discussed before. This equals 1R. Moving up the tree here, moving up the ladder, again we have a series of 1R and 1R equaling 2R, and magically this setup reappears as much as you want to go. We have here a 4-bit one. If you go with an 8-bit one, 6-bit one, 16-bit one, whatever you want, it's always the same principle. Due to the same values of R and 2R, we always have the same principle that it's always basically collapsing into each other. So again, 2R and 2R in parallel equals 1R, and then we have the last series of R and R, which equals then obviously again 2R. So now we arrived at the final voltage divider of the black 2R one and the yellow part, or let's say all the below part, with 2R as well. So looking at this 2R to 2R, we obviously have a 50-50 split. So we have a 50-50 voltage divider, which will lead to 2.5 volts at the output. So exactly 50%. At this point, you might say, wait a second, haven't we calculated before that the maximum value is 15? And now we are having activated the most significant bit, which value is 8. So shouldn't we end up at basically 8/15 of the input voltage of the 5 volts, which would be a bit more than the 2.5 volts? Well, you're not completely wrong, but you're missing one, let's say, tripping point in digital technology, is that we have a 4-bit digital to analog converter, which means we have 16 steps that we can cover. We are missing the 0. So we also have 0 as one value that we can represent. So our 4-bit digital-to-analog converter can represent 16 individual values, but we're starting to count this 0 as a value as well. That's also taking one of our precious spaces basically. So actually we have the highest value is 15, but we have 16 steps. So 8 is exactly half of the steps that we can display, and that's why we're ending up at exactly half of the input voltage. So having cleared this detail out of the way, let's move on and actually take a look on another scenario. I will only take another look on one scenario here, as it's always the same, but this one was quite frankly the easiest one. So let's go into one that's a bit more difficult, and let's just say we are not just flipping the first GPIO3 here, but we are also flipping GPIO2 to high, so also to 5-volt level on our digital values. That means the value 4 is now also engaged, bit 3 and bit 2. The most significant and the second most significant bit is engaged. So we have 8 and 4, so we have 12 as a total value. Taking a look on our equivalent circuit diagram down there, we need to change something because now only GPIO 0 and 1 are connected to ground. This means only the brown and the green resistors are connected to ground, but the blue one is now actually connected to the voltage supply. The supply voltage 5 volts. So the circuit diagram looks like this now. This might look a bit difficult now as a circuit, but it's quite simple. So let's walk through it. Again, we have GPIO 1 and 0 connected to ground. So down here we can assume the same again as before, 1R. We did this earlier. If you want to see it again, just go back in the video a couple of minutes. And then over here, obviously, you have a series connection, so it's 2R. So basically, in total, we have this upper part here in series with the lower part, which is 2R. So we need to quickly figure out what's the total resistance of the upper part, which is basically a parallel circuit of 3R and 2R. So to quickly calculate the total resistance, then we just multiply 2R with 3R, the left-hand resistor, the blue one, times everything on the right hand, divided by 2R plus 3R, and we end up at 1.2R in total as the resistance of the upper part. This means we have 3.2R in total as the resistance of the whole circuit, and now we can just look at the portion that's basically the voltage drop across the upper part of the circuit, which is then 1.8 volts, and the same or the leftover is then the 3.2 volts, which is the voltage drop across the purple part on the bottom. So that's basically the voltage distribution of this voltage divider. So let's keep on working with the 1.8 volts here at the top end, because actually we want to figure out at the end of the day what's the voltage drop on the voltage level that we see on the output, obviously. So that's also not complicated. As we know now, we have 1.8 volts in this parallel circuit. The voltage drop is obviously the same in a parallel circuit on the left and the right hand. So on the right hand, we also have the voltage drop of 1.8 volts. There we have a 2R to 1R from the black to the yellow one. So that's basically a 2/3, 1/3 distribution. 1.8 volts we can magically or nicely divide by 3 very easily. So on the yellow one we have a voltage drop of 0.6 volts. To have the output, as you can see here, we need to add the purple part, the 3.2 volts, as we are looking for the voltage drop from the output to ground. So we obviously see the voltage drop across the yellow resistor in addition to the voltage drop across the whole purple part down below. So the total will be 3.8 volts. And that's also more or less what we're expecting from 12/16, as we have the value 8 and 4 at the top. So 12/16 out of the 16 steps would be 3.75. Actually, I rounded the numbers a little bit, so that's adding all up. And that's basically all the magic already here, how the R2R ladder digital to analog converter is working. Quite simple from like a standpoint of how to build it. Actually, you only need a resistor of the same value and twice that value, or you could even just use the same resistor then twice in series to get the 2R value. So that's all you need to build it. For me, I think it's one of those things, it looks easy, it's simple to build, but actually the logic behind is also quite simple to understand it once you got it explained like in this video. But actually to get to this point, to be clever enough to think about a circuit like this is for me really amazing, because that this goes all into each other with the R and 2R values and it's so conveniently collapsing, and then you're magically getting those numbers. For me, it also feels like a bit like magically happening. So I think it's quite a cool circuit, and it's simple enough to understand and easy to replicate at home or on your breadboard, on your experiment at university, wherever you are, and a nice experiment to play around with, and an easy way to build your own digital to analog converter with just a couple of resistors without buying an integrated circuit that might be more expensive or a bit more boring. So I hope you learned something today. Thanks for watching. If it was helpful to you, please give the video a like or leave a comment. That helps other people to find it more easily. So thanks again, and see you next time.